Hi guys, and welcome back to Miss Willa's Book Club. I am so excited to be back here with you today. Today we are going to go over my last now next. I have quite a few books, so we have been on a little bit of a hiatus. Our personal lives have absolutely blown up. We've had promotions, we've been traveling, we've had so much going on, but we appreciate you guys sticking around, and we're so excited to be back here with you on a more regular basis. And throughout the summer, we have some really exciting things coming up. We've got some really awesome reads, and so stay tuned. And today I'm going to be going over my last now next that I've been reading since we did this the last time, and I have had a really good few months of reading, so I cannot wait to talk about it with all of you guys. I do have a drink of the episode today. It's called a Sun Cruiser. It's iced tea and vodka. And if you know me, you know that I love seltzers. I love me some High Dunes. The only thing is I don't love the carbonation, but these Sun Cruisers, which are iced tea and vodka, I absolutely love these because they're not carbonated, and so I feel like they don't upset my stomach as much, but these are amazing, and I feel like these are going to be my drink of the summer, and so I feel like this will be the perfect intro to this episode. So on that note, let's go ahead and get into it. Cheers! First up on the list, you guys, we have a strong 5-star read for me. I know our book club had some differing opinions, but this was our book club pick for April, and this is Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. This book had me captivated at like 10%. I feel like I didn't want to put it down, and I read it so fast. I absolutely adored it. So this book follows our female main character, Bryn, who has basically been sheltered her entire life on some island. So Bryn and her people have been exiled to this island called Alaha, and here comes this mysterious man who wants to throw everything for a loop. And let me tell you, that's exactly what happened. I absolutely adored the characters. This book, you guys, I'm not going to spoil anything, but this book has one of the biggest plot twists I have never seen coming ever. It was completely unexpected. This book shocked me to my core, to the point where we need the next book like right now, because I can't even. I'm so heartbroken. I wanted to throw my Kindle at the wall. It was all sorts of emotions, and I still don't know how to process it, so bear with me here. But if that tells you anything, this was a really fantastic read for me, and I know that it was for a lot of our book club too. We had some really amazing discussion at book club this weekend, and yeah, I'm super excited about it. And we have another 5-star read for me. This is Enchantra. This is going to be the second book to the first book, Phantasma. And again, if you know me, you know that Phantasma was one of my favorite books from last year. I loved the spice. I loved the trials. I loved all of the characters. And so I was really excited for this one to come out. I actually did have this one pre-ordered, and I picked it up the day that it came out because I just knew. I knew I was going to love it, and that I did. So this book follows the main character from Phantasma, her sister Genevieve, as she goes on to her little vacation that was planned for her. But obviously things can't always go as planned, and she ends up in another form of trials. And I liked the trials just as much in this one as I did in the first book. And the love interest, oof, you guys, I absolutely adore the love interest in this one. There were multiple scenes that I was very much so like fanning myself because I loved it. I absolutely devoured this book, and there are pieces that happened at the end that had me absolutely sobbing. I have not had a book break my heart like this in a very long time, and it was very well done. So immediately, yes, 5 stars. A very long awaited. We will have an episode on this book coming out here in the next coming weeks, but this one is finally Quicksilver by Callie Hart. So we actually picked this book for our book club. I believe it was it January? So we had a TikTok that went very viral, and we were all drawing out of a bucket to see which book that we were going to read for our January book club, and Quicksilver had been pulled like 10 times. It wasn't picked for January, though. I believe that we ended up picking it for March, but clearly everybody wanted to read it, and the author, Callie Hart, was so sweet to send all of our book club copies that are signed, and we all devoured it. We all loved it, and I'm so excited about it. I actually listened to this audio back in December while I was road tripping for Christmas, and I loved it, and so I knew that once I picked this up to read the physical copy, I was going to love it just as much, and that I did. Sometimes I found that with audiobooks, I love it because I can listen to things while I'm making dinner or while I'm doing the dishes or just doing random chores around the house, but I feel like I don't actually pick up as much, especially if it's a fantasy book. That's why I usually stick to romances when I am doing audiobooks. However, this one, I did remember a lot of the plot, but it helped so much to pick this back up in a physical copy. And this Quicksilver is such a classic fantasy romance. And even though it had so many elements that we all know and love, it still had some of that shock factor. Now, this one is pretty spicy, so if you are looking for a book that is on that spicier side of fantasy romance, I highly recommend, because Kingfisher is one of my top tier boyfriends after reading this one, and I know it's only going to get better as the series goes on. So I am already super excited for the next one for this one, and stay tuned because we'll have some fun things coming that have to do with Quicksilver by Callie Hart. One of another books that I listened to, but this is a very, very, very taboo read. So if you've been listening to our podcast, you know that we've been reading some pretty dark romances and pretty taboo reads. But one of the books that Jenna and I both read recently was Priest by Sierra Simone, which is extremely taboo. So warnings right now, it is extremely taboo. I mean, I loved it. It was super fun for me, and it had the shock factor I was looking for. And over the past few weeks, I actually read the sequel to it, Sinner by Sierra Simone. This is also a very taboo read, but for me, it was less taboo and more enjoyable. And I don't know if it's just because the dynamic of the characters were different, but to me, this one felt more realistic than Priest did. Continuing on the audiobook train, so both Jenna and I read These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan, and I actually ended up listening to the second one, and unfortunately, you guys, I did end up DNFing it because I have so many other books that I'm so excited to read. It's not that it was bad, it's not that it wasn't entertaining, I just have so many other things on my TBR right now that I was like, I can wait and read that another time. I don't know if I'll go back to it. I did look it up and I see that there are a few books in the series, and it looks like this first one is only going to be a duology following the main characters that we have. But then as the series goes on, it does look like it follows different characters throughout the stories. I think at this point it is just a little bit younger for me, and so I think I'm just not the right audience. There was nothing wrong with it. It was a very classic fantasy romance. However, I just don't think that I was the correct audience for it. So we'll see if I pick it back up, but I'm more than likely not going to. I have seriously had so many good reads, and I can't believe that I have already given so many books 5 stars. And on that list, we have Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So Jenna actually really raved about this series, and so when we were at one of our book clubs a couple of months ago, I ended up buying both Vicious and Vengeful by V.E. Schwab because she has said she really liked the first one, but she absolutely adored the second one, and so I did go ahead and finish it. This has one of the most unique, I don't even want to say magic system because it's not necessarily magic, but it is definitely outside of reality. You have 2 roommates that are in college working on their thesis, and they are looking at near-death experience and supernatural events that occur after these near-death experiences. This was so unique. It was very interesting. I do want to preface that I know that our channel does a lot of fantasy romance, and so we do have a lot of that romance aspect in there. However, this was not romance heavy at all. There was like a very teeny tiny subplot of being romantic, but it was just not, this is not a romance. This is solely just a fantasy, and it was really good. I absolutely devoured this. I think I finished this within 24 hours, and I picked up Vengeful and I started it right away. So this is actually on my current reads, and I am absolutely loving it. I'm literally 50 pages into it. So I'm not very far into it because I've had so many other books that have either come out on release day or I have just like caught my attention. But I know that once I actually get into this one, I'm not going to be able to stop. So this is going to be one that I probably pick up at some point this week and just work my way through. So with that, diving more into the current books that I'm reading, I also got Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Last year we did cover Powerless and Reckless on the podcast, and so I knew that I had to pick it up to finish the series. Now, I'm just going to preface and say this is not my favorite series in the entire world. I do think that this audience may be for somebody who hasn't read as much fantasy romance as maybe we have read in the past. But that's not to say that it's not enjoyable, because it is definitely enjoyable. Now, if you go back and listen to some of our other episodes, you would know that we felt like Powerless felt very similar to a lot of other books that we've read. I do feel like the story did start to differentiate between different stories as you get through the series. And I do have to say I am actually really liking this. So I am about, I am like 175 pages into it, and I do really like it. I feel like it started off really slow, but as soon as we started getting into the main plot, it actually started picking up for me. So I am actually really liking this, and I'll probably end up doing a little episode on this because I know that this series is just so beloved to so many different people, and especially after the cliffhanger that you get from the second book, I really do feel like it picked up, and it is just, we're moving along, and yeah, I'm really enjoying this so far, which is amazing. Now, another book that I feel like I have been reading for literally the last 2 months is This Monster of Mine by Shalini Abeysakara, and the premise of this book is really, really unique and very cool, and I feel like there are still so many questions that I want answered, and I am really enjoying this book. I feel like this is one of those that has a more unique magic system, and so you really have to be like paying attention, which is great for most of the time. Sometimes I feel like I do want more of a lighter read though, and so I do want something that's more just going to be like quick and fast that I can get through. Kind of like Enchantra, like the magic isn't super hard, it's not super difficult to love the characters, which in this one, I feel like the characters have more mysterious qualities, and so it does feel like you have to like dive a little bit to get into those characters. And I'm a character-driven girly. The plot in this one, though, is actually really cool, and it's been really fun to see the little connections and seeing how everything is kind of coming together, because I am about halfway through this one, and yeah, I'm like literally almost about halfway through, and I feel like it's time to pick it back up, because once I get through some of my easier fantasies that I've been reading, like Fearless, I might not be saying that after I finish it, but after I get through some of the ones that I want to be reading, I will definitely be picking this back up before I pick up some other ones that I have on my lists here. Now, as we get into warmer weather and summer, this is where we kind of lead into some more like fun reads, lighter reads. And so for me, that means a lot more romances. And one of my favorite romance authors is Abby Jimenez. And I am actually listening to Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez right now. And I adore it, but I adore every single book she puts out, and so it has been such a good listen. Now, here's the thing about Abby Jimenez, though. Not only is her romance just like a top-tier romance, she also really knows how to deal with really difficult topics. And so in every single book, I feel like there are some really hard topics that our characters really need to get through. And she does an absolutely phenomenal job of working us through it with being empathetic and having her characters be understanding. I feel like it really just brings awareness to these different topics that could be really difficult for people to deal with. And plus, it doesn't hurt that I literally grew up right next to one of her bakeries, and I feel like I just have this connection because growing up as a Minnesota girl, Nadia Cakes was literally one of the best cupcake shops, and having one right next to where we grew up was absolutely amazing. I feel like being from Minnesota, I just have this connection because everything that they talk about in the books, like I know that there is a warning saying that everything is fictitious, although it does resemble a lot of things that I know and love. And so it just gives me this like personal little like, oh my God, I remember that, or that is how I view life on the lake, or that is how I view certain things in Minneapolis. And so it's super fun. And in this book, they do talk about Lord Fletcher's, which is on Lake Minnetonka. And I just think it's so fun. I was like, I used to spend my summers there. I used to go out there. It just brings me back to like my college days too, because I just love it. But yeah, so Just for the Summer actually has a really fun premise too. I have such a love for when people write their characters that work in the healthcare industry, because I work in the healthcare industry. And so it's really fun to see some of that representation, and it gives you a little bit more of a connection with that character because I have such an understanding of what their day-to-day looks like. So it's been really fun and I've been really enjoying that. And yeah, so that's the one that I'm listening to right now. Okay, so that's everything that I've read within the last month to 6 weeks and everything that I'm currently reading. I feel like I have so many books that I am currently in the middle of. Not even gonna lie, here's just 3 of them, and I am listening to Just for the Summer. And so it's not very often that I have so many books going at once. I just feel like I have been in certain moods for different types of genres, and so that's kind of how it happens sometimes. But moving forward to what we're going to read next, I might need some help in the comments because I have so many books on my TBR, and I've been such an emotional reader recently that you have to tell me, like, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? What should we read? So here's kind of on my list. Well, first of all, I know that I will absolutely be reading this because Stacey McKeown is one of my favorite people literally ever. If you don't follow her TikTok and her Instagram, she's literally one of the funniest human beings. And I am so blessed to have gotten an advanced reader copy of her new series, A Forbidden Alchemy. And this is supposed to have some Peaky Blinder vibes. Honestly, I will read anything that Stacey puts out, but having this be in a setting that's so different from her first series, I feel like is going to be really fun to see how she grows as an author, to see how she handles these different kinds of vibes. And honestly, everything that I've seen on social media so far from people who have gotten these arcs, everybody has said that they've been absolutely heartbroken. And we know that Shelby loves a really good book that's going to leave her heartbroken at the end. So I think that this is going to be my immediate next read. But some other ones that we have on the list that could be coming up as episodes, we have Calamity by Constance Fay. Now this is going to be a sci-fi. Jenna has absolutely adored this series, and the author lives here in Colorado. So if we live close, maybe we can try to get her on the podcast. And I feel like it'd be super fun to talk to somebody in a genre that we don't necessarily always cover on the podcast. We did the Red Rising series last year and we absolutely devoured it, and our book club did too. And so we clearly love sci-fi, but I feel like we lean a little bit more towards that fantasy and the romance. And so I think it'll be super fun to switch it up a little bit and do a little bit more sci-fi. And the first line on the back of this says, "He kisses like a storm and I'm happy to drown in it." So we're saying sci-fi romance. Okay, I think that this is going to be really fun. So look out in the next couple of months for an episode on Calamity coming up because I'm super excited. And I know that Jenna owns the rest of the series too that's out. So very exciting. Those are really the only couple of books that I have on my immediate TBR. I feel like at this point I've had so many good reads within the last couple of months that I don't even know what to pick up next. I'm in the middle of a few series. I have a lot of standalones on my shelves that I'm staring at right now. Darker Shades of Magic is staring at me. Daughter of No Worlds is staring at me. I've also gotten a lot of different arcs. So leave comments down below on our Spotify, or if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever you listen, leave a comment down below and let us know what your must reads are, because I feel like I have so many things on my shelves that I don't even know where to start. I feel like going off of a recommendation is honestly so much easier, which is why it helps to have a book club that you get tons of recommendations for, because the word of mouth is seriously so important for this. And yeah, wow, it has been quite the couple of months for reading. I have had so many good books that I've been reading recently, and I feel so lucky because after Onyx Storm, I feel like I was in a little bit of a reading slump, because sometimes when I read a really good book, it's hard for me to pick up something else because I'm still digesting it, I'm still processing it, and yeah, so I finally got back into a groove, you guys. I'm finally in a spot again where I'm excited about reading. I'm excited about the releases that are coming up this summer, and it is just going to be so good. On that note, if you guys have made it this far, make sure to follow along with us on Instagram and TikTok at Miss Willa's Book Club Pod. We post not only some of our podcast clips, but we also love to be in the book talk community. And so we post what we're reading. We post different fun book talk activities, and it's just been super fun. So go ahead and give us a follow over on Instagram and TikTok at Miss Willa's Book Club Pod. If you haven't yet, give us a rating on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go ahead and hit that follow button, and we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.